From the stories you want to the answers you need, this is Answer the Call, where the takes are real, the guests bring it, and the conversation starts with you. I'm your host, Tim Collins, and whether you're here to question the game, challenge the noise, or just hear it how it really is, you didn't just click the show, you answered the show. We're going to get started. I'm joined today by a very special guest. Mr. Will Ritchie from Hamburg, Arkansas is joining the show. So without further ado, welcome in, man. How are you doing?
How's it going, man? Glad to be on the show.
Man. Hey, I'm glad you took time out of your busy day to be a part of this show. You know, we're making moves here at Answer the Call. We're going to bring in some guests. We're kind of doing behind the scenes stuff. It's the off season in football. So what better way to bring in some guests? And I got to tell you, you're a PA announcer, and I kind of wanted to be like growing up. Guys, I didn't ever tell you guys this story, but when I was a sophomore in high school, I actually messed up my knee. I couldn't play, and I didn't want to be on the sideline because, well, that would have killed me. Just like being that close to the field and not being it. The announcer needed hands with the stat sheet. I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna do that." And I went up there. I had a lot of fun, and honestly, like I kind of wanted to pursue that, and then I just kind of got off track a little bit, but I kind of wish I would have just pursued it right out of high school.
Yeah. Hey, it's super fun, dude. It's not something that I ever really thought about doing. You know, I grew up around the game. I mean, I grew up in Benton, Arkansas, just central part of the state, and played at Benton. And so I've always been around the game. But it wasn't until I moved to Hamburg that and I'm the worship pastor at First Baptist Church in Hamburg. Love these people, love this community, and the superintendent of schools that was here whenever I first started said, "Hey, football, you love the game. Our PA announcer isn't wanting to do it again this year. Would you mind stepping into that role?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's go." And fell in love with being on the mic, dude. It's so much fun, and it's just really cool being in that part of the game now. You're far away from the field, but it's the best seat in the house. I mean, you're right on the 50-yard line, and you get to see everything.
I remember my experience the few times that I was up there in the press box, and I just remember like being on the field is great, and being on the sideline is another thing, and even being in the stands. But like when you're up above, right at the 50, and you just get to soak in the whole atmosphere from above, I feel like there's nothing like that. And so maybe one day like that's something that I can pursue, is to start out as a PA and maybe work my way to the big time. So that's how you became the PA announcer. And so like let's start off just kind of telling the audience like who you are and just a little bit about yourself, other than the fact that you're the PA announcer.
Yeah, so I Will Ritchie is my name. I grew up in Benton, Arkansas. I've been in Arkansas my whole life. Went to Ouachita Baptist University, got my music degree there. 2015 is when I graduated from there. Wow. And so I'm been around the state, serving in churches from all over, anywhere from, I was in Haskell, Arkansas for a little while. Went down to the metropolis of Smackover, Arkansas for a couple of years. Smackover, man, the Buckaroos. And moved to Hamburg in 2020, and it was a really, really interesting time to change jobs. If you remember what was going on that year.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, and just really have fallen in love with this place. We love serving here. My wife and I have been married for 9 years. Her name is Molly, and Molly. we have 2 kids, and they're rambunctious. They're on spring break this week, so
of course,
my house is crazy. So I had to escape. I had to come to the office.
Okay, you came to the office.
That's right.
So
yeah, we love this place. We love this community, and love that the Lord led us here. And we just incredibly grateful for the opportunity we have here.
So you said you're a music major. So I got to ask, because what kind of music do you play? Like other than like gospel and church music and stuff like that. Is there like a style that you play? Like bluegrass or country or?
Yeah, I'm a guitar player. Acoustic guitar is what I play, and so, but I gig a little bit on the side. I go.
Mhm.
There's a We're not really where we are. We're not super far from Louisiana and Mississippi, and so
Oh, okay.
there's a restaurant in Greenville, Mississippi, about an hour from here. It's called
Mhm.
Sherman's. Really good steakhouse. But I go and play there every so often, just on the weekends, and I play anything, man.
Mhm.
I love country music. I mean, my you can tell by my southern twang that
Mhm.
I've been inundated in South Arkansas with country music, but I love it. But I'll play a lot of country music. I'll play rock stuff. I'll play
Mhm.
really anything. And you know, somebody will ask me what my favorite style of music is. I really don't know. I
Okay.
mean,
Hey, that's fair.
like, it,
I do love music myself, so I can respect that.
yeah, it changes with the seasons, but I'll
Mhm.
tell you, Chris Stapleton um,
Mhm.
changed country music for me, and man,
Okay.
he's incredible. And my wife and I went and saw him in concert back a couple years ago now in Little
Mhm.
Rock, and he absolutely just puts on a show where you just don't really feel like you don't have to stand up and scream the whole time. We just sat back like we were just in the in a
Mhm.
back room, just us and him. It was great, and so it was. He's awesome, and so. But anyway, that's a note that. Uh,
Well, so the reason I was asking about why or what kind of music do you play is my father-in-law is actually in two different bluegrass bands. And I don't know if you follow the bluegrass world, but so he's in two different bands. And so like when I heard that, like, because Brandon from the Sports Nut,
yeah,
he uh he sent me that clip like where you were kind of talking about being a music major and all that, and so it just triggered my brain. I was like, oh, I want to find out what kind of music he does
I
play
do
and
like
like.
I do like bluegrass. Punch Brothers
Uh-huh.
is a group that I listen to a lot. They're so good.
I'll have I'll have to ask him because I I I don't know a lot. I mean, I know his
I got
bands, and I
you.
I go support his bands, and I like the music. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
it's just I just don't know anybody like that. So
sure. I'm with you.
okay, so right before the show, you said you're in the office at your church, and
Mhm.
you mentioned getting away from the chaos of
Yeah.
the kids at the house. So how much of an impact has your faith had on your life?
Oh man. Yeah. Let me tell you. I came to the knowledge of the saving grace of Jesus Christ when I was a young kid.
Mhm.
Um, I was 8 years old at a vacation Bible school and at First Baptist in Benton, Arkansas, and came to the uh, realization that I needed a savior. Even then,
Mhm.
and that faith has grown over time.
Yeah.
But that was such, that having that childlike faith is what really is the foundation of it all. And man, I've just seen the Lord work in my
Mhm.
life and in the people around me um, so often. And I talk about, and I heard this on whenever the Oklahoma softball team won national championship. I think they had just gone back to back
Mhm.
in their press conference. One of the girls said that um, true joy doesn't come from your circumstances. True joy comes from knowing Christ Jesus. And man, I've held on to that for so long. Um, my favorite scripture I've ever that I lean into a lot is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path." And basically, what that says is that we are dumb, and we need some, and we need, and like we are sheep that need to be
Mhm.
taken along, and we serve a really good shepherd. And so God's been so good to me and to my family, and I've just incredibly grateful for the opportunity we have here in Hamburg, but mostly just for this life that He's blessed us with, and we're so incredibly grateful for it.
Awesome, man. That's a awesome story to hear, and anytime that you can have that, at a young age, it's always, better, and I'm not saying like, hey, sometimes, people find it later in their adult life, and that's okay too. So the important part is, you find it and you accept him and all that. So, we're going to kind of switch gears though. We got a little background of you, but I didn't pull you on here just to, hear backgrounds and stuff. I want to know some atmosphere, game day vibes. We're going to talk a little Arkansas sports here in just a moment. What is it like to be in such a small town and the atmosphere around campus during game day?
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about, so I do PA announcing in a couple different places. And the place that I started at, Hamburg High School, and I'm still doing stuff there. I actually get to be I'm the PA announcer for football, but I'm also the team chaplain. And so I've been able to go in and do some Bible studies with with the players that are there, which is really fun, really cool. But game day is awesome around here. And, it's a small town. You think the quintessential small town in Arkansas, football is king. And it's even when the teams aren't great, we've had teams in the past. My first year here, we won 2 games. But the stands are still rowdy, and it's super fun. This past year we had a really, really good year. Ended up facing a really, really solid team in the second round of the playoffs, and fought to the bitter end and lost it. But I need to give a shout out to my guy, Nykel Lewis, Man Lewis, played running back for us this year. He set the single season record for rushing touchdowns in a single season, 53 rushing
53.
touchdowns.
Wow.
2,800 yards.
So here at Answer the Call, that right there is a Call of Fame candidate, boys and girls. Right. Call of Fame right there. Here I kind of do a Call of Fame, Call of Shame. If they do really good, they make the fame side. They make a bonehead decision, they make the shame side. So Call of Fame, good job, Will. I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, but Nykel Lewis, he's so he graduated early. He graduated right before January. He graduated in December, and he is on campus now at Austin P in Clarksville, Tennessee. He's playing college ball, so he enrolled early. He's going to make an impact over there. I mean, he's a gamer, and so he's going to be awesome for them. He got overlooked by some schools. Not the biggest guy in the world, but has a motor like nobody else, and 2,800 yards, 53 scores in a year. I mean, the guy deserves all the accolades that can come his way. And so
sure.
230 rushing yards a game if you're wanting to do math on that. So it was awesome to watch.
We had a running back. So I was in the same grade as his brother, and he was a couple of years older than us. I think he was a senior when we were freshmen. And I mean, nobody could stop him. And I was just like, I just remember like this kid could go and do something. Like, I was like, oh man, this is going to be really cool. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. His life kind of went the opposite direction, and he got into trouble and stuff like that. But I just remember on game days, I'm from a small town originally, population less than 4,000 people. And I actually looked up Hamburg because I've never heard of it. Yours is even smaller, but the stands is weird. I don't know how it is there, but like where I went to school, it's just like one side. So you have your press box up here, and it's just one side, and it's like away team, home team, and then it's just like divided right there in the middle. So depending on what part of the field you were on, would determine if it was your side or the opponent's side that was getting rowdy. So
yeah,
all right.
luckily we have both sides of the stands. We have home field
See,
because
I'm jealous.
there's a couple of rival schools around here that it would get pretty wild if both fan bases were on the same side.
So, what's going through your head during a close game when every announcement matters?
Oh man, yeah, just don't mess it up. I mean, really.
Yeah, don't mess up.
Yeah, luckily this past year I didn't have to call. I called several names. You know, there's a lot of guys who had a lot of things, but in crunch time we knew who was getting the ball, and so I knew to call that. But luckily, when I'm up in the booth, I've got some really good help up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got there's 5 of us up there in the booth at a time, and I've got a spotter directly to my right. He's looking through the binoculars, trying to see everything, and so I don't say anything unless he tells me.
Okay, so really, if it's wrong, it's on him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just the guy that gets the blame though because I'm on the mic.
Right.
But no, I mean, yeah, but those guys are great, and that's been a huge help for me. I'm not having to do everything myself, and that's how every successful operation is. You know, you have really good support around you, but yeah, but that's been great. That's been an awesome thing. But yeah, that's a good question though. Nobody's ever asked that.
Do you remember your first game on the mic? What was it? What was that like? You know, the very first time you were just all right. You know, I'm calling the game for the first time. Like take us through that moment.
Yeah. First game I ever called was a junior high football game, and you know, those don't get quite as exciting. But for me, it was I mean, it was the highlight of my year because it was the first time I had ever done it. And so I was up in the booth, and there were some guys around. There were some guys on the field that I knew, some coaches that were like, "Hey, you're pretty good at this." I'm like, "Thanks, I guess. I don't know." And so, but I can remember. I can tell you this is how weird my brain is. I can tell you the who. So it was Hamburg that was playing. We played Dumas that night, Dumas, Arkansas, Dumas Junior High. We won that game 20-6. Okay, I can look it up. I can look at my Instagram right now and find that game. But I made sure to make a mental note of that back when it happened. But yeah, I can remember 20-6 that we beat Dumas that night. That was my first game on the mic, and it's super fun, man. I don't know why I remember that, but that's how my brain.
That's a cool thing to remember, you know, because that was your first experience, you know, calling the action, really just kind of taking your love for the game to another level, you know, because listen, it's one thing to be a player, it's one thing to be a fan, but like I said earlier, you know, it's a whole nother thing when you're up there above, you're seeing it, and many can say that that's the best seat in the house. I mean, you're guaranteed on the 50. Elevated, no one's getting in your way. You can see the whole field, and I can see
everything. Yeah, it's great. I mean, and really and truly, I haven't really taken in a game in Hamburg any other way. I can remember one game during the 2020 season that I went to, and nobody knew what to do then, and so hardly anybody was at football games then. I think I just went because I was ready for some sort of normalcy. But that's the only game that I've sat in the stands for a football game. The rest of the time I've been up in the booth, and I hope that they don't fire me because I don't know that I could take it in any other way.
Well, it sounds like you've been doing it for a while, so I think, you know, the one thing I noticed, especially in small towns, is they like if they find an announcer that is good and one that actually enjoys doing it, they like to keep him around. From my hometown, the guy that did it, I mean, he was doing it for years. I mean, probably like decades.
Yeah.
And it just like sitting there next to him and hearing him call the action and kind of just like soaking up his wisdom. I was just like, man, this is really cool. And like I said, I should have went ahead and just pursued that right out of high school, but I took a different route.
Yeah. It's fun,
Okay,
man.
so we got, to know what your experience is like. Now I want to kind of transition just a little bit and talk have a little hog talk.
Yeah.
Being a local here, being right by Fayetteville, Arkansas, you being here your whole life. Does the men's basketball team have a chance at making it past the Sweet 16?
I think so.
Versus Arizona tonight or Thursday night.
I watched that game yesterday that Arizona played. I think that the difference in the game, this and you said it's Thursday night that we're playing against Arizona.
Yes,
the difference in the game is, can our bigs stay out of foul trouble, and can we get Arizona's bigs in foul trouble? Because I'm telling you, that's going to be the story of the game. You know what you're going to get out of Acuff. You know what you're going to get out of Malik Thomas.
Sure.
You just do. Those dudes are gamers. They're going to get to the bucket whenever they want. It's going to be but unless Acuff just goes off for 50 or 55, we're not really going to know how the game goes. But I think that this Arkansas team is as talented as any we've ever seen. Okay. And a lot of that has to do with Darius Acuff, obviously. The guy is an otherworldly talent, once in a generation type of guy. A lot of people are arguing, is he the best Razorback ever to play basketball at the University of Arkansas? I think he is.
Well, he set the record for assists in a season for Arkansas. He set the record for points in a season by an Arkansas player. He has got the most points scored in the first two games of an NCAA tournament in tournament history. 60 points in the first two games. So,
yeah, I mean, and a crazy stat that I saw at the end of the regular season was there hasn't been a guard, or there hasn't been a player lead the SEC in points and assists since Pistol Pete Maravich and Darius Acuff.
Yeah, I do remember, because I remember I was actually, I think, working on the notes for the show and kind of trying to piece everything together. And I think I remember at least hearing that, and I was just like, wow, that is really crazy to think that no one's done it since Pistol Pete. And I mean, that's been a really long time ago, way before my time.
Yeah. But like back to the matchup against Arizona, you need Nick Pringle to play. You need Pringle to play, because what he gives you is fouls. Okay. And in a roster that's not very deep, I say it's not very deep, at this time of the year, every team has their 8 that they play. Every team. We just happen to have 6 right now.
I listened to 92.1 The Ticket a lot, and they, that was something that they actually mentioned was, like the starting 5 is great. But like when the starting 5 comes out, we don't really have the offense off the bench. We have great defensive players, but we don't have great offense to really just kind of stretch and push it forward.
Right. And I think that it's the biggest thing about this team, the biggest hang up that I've seen just through this year, and I'm an Arkansas fan. I see the good and the bad in all of it. But it's been post defense. Our post players are really good on offense. I mean, Malik Ewan and Trevin Brazil are just freak athletes that can get in there and listen, on offense, nobody's stopping those dudes. Nobody. But you get them on the defensive side, and there's just, I don't know that it translates well we saw it against Florida back at the end of the regular season. Florida had 3 bigs that were incredible. And so these bigs for Arkansas have got to be really strong against Arizona. And listen, I think that we've faced our not our toughest test, but I think the test that we had against High Point this past game, that team can run. And I mean those I mean they could have very easily run Arkansas out of the gym had they just made shots. And that's what they did against Wisconsin. And if they would have just made a few more shots, we're looking at a different outcome. But I don't think the matchup against Arizona is not the same thing. It's going to be about physicality, and it's going to be about who is the stronger team in this. And I think Arkansas has got a plenty strong team. We've got a shot to make it into.
I think what really and you're not going to see it very often, but I think the reason that High Point was able to keep it a game like they were was because of Rob Martin, their point guard. Because as fast as Acuff is, that guy was faster. And I remember hearing the commentators just neither one of these guys can stop the other player. Like the other player is getting in front of, Martin was getting in front of Acuff in front of Martin. And time and time again, we just saw, and they just didn't have an answer for each other. And that's, I think, why High Point was able to keep up as much is because Rob Martin, I mean, he had the game of his career against us. And
he have 30? Did he have dropped 30?
He had 36 or 35, or it was something crazy like that. So
I don't know what classification that guy is, or if he has any eligibility left. But if he does,
no, that was his last game.
That was his last game. Well, I'm about to say, if he petitions the NCAA for an extra year, he could be getting a bag of NIL money from somewhere.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so what would you say are some reasonable expectations for the Razorbacks football team this upcoming season, real quick, and then after this, I'm going to put you on the hot seat with a little rapid fire questions.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, football is an interesting story for Arkansas. I would say that in the past, the crutch that we've always been on for Arkansas football is that there's not a whole lot of really good recruiting from the state of Arkansas. The high school football scene here is not as strong as it is in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, California. Name the state, Alabama. It's just not quite as strong. Well, that's not the problem anymore. The problem now is buy-in from donors and buy-in in the NIL space. I think we're seeing an uptick. I think Tyson coming in and having the sponsorship, with a little patch on the jersey, that's going to be the amount of money that Tyson can give is a lot. Walmart with the Waltons and everything else. JB Hunt. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this.
So my father-in-law, his one of the guys that he plays bluegrass with, he's actually a sports therapist. Okay. And so he kind of has even a little bit more behind the scenes than like the average person. But he said like the reason that Arkansas doesn't really ever bring anybody in is because in terms of the NIL, they're all pumping it into the basketball and even a little bit into the baseball. And then because all them people that you just mentioned aren't as big of football fans as they are basketball fans. And that's why it's Bud Walton Arena. And
well, there's more to go around in basketball. I mean, your roster is not that big.
Right.
You talk about a football roster. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I know that Ohio State and Michigan and a lot of these Big Ten schools, even Indiana this past year, you want to know why Indiana got to be as good as they are? Because they have buy-in. They got money. They got cash flow. and it's it's something to be said. If it can be done at Indiana, a basketball school, it can be done
Right.
at all. It can be done at Arkansas, and
So
I say that with every SEC school. It can be done at Vanderbilt. Okay, you saw it with this whole thing with Pavia, and that's been
don't get me started on that guy.
I saw your segment on him, but hey, good college player. He's not going to make it in the NFL, but
No.
but yeah, I mean but that's what you see throughout college football right now is that if you want a good football team, gonna have to spend some cash, and I know that it's the name of the game right now, and nobody likes it. Okay, nobody does. NIL and the transfer portal have absolutely decimated what I know of college football, just from what I've seen in the past.
I was going to say, from what we all know, I mean, any generation, it's what do you think is though, like the real expectation? Like I said, like, is it because we stunk last season,
right?
And now we got Ryan Silverfield as head coach, like. So I just like, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, it's gonna have to be. It'll be a wait and see game for sure. I haven't seen a whole lot from the off season that gives me a whole lot of
hope.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah,
and I think it's gonna have to come from, is KJ Jackson the guy to lead this offense? After I thought that Taylon Green was one of the best looking athletes we could have had at the quarterback position over the last couple of years. Is KJ Jackson that guy? Is Silverfield and the staff that he has around him, are they ready to win in the SEC right now? And I don't know. I really don't. I know that there's pieces that you still got to get in the portal. And there's pieces that you have to work through. But I also know that there isn't a better fan support system than at the University of Arkansas. And if you start winning, if we rip off the first four, if you start 4-0, there's going to be a lot. I know it is. Listen, believe me, I know. But if you start off 4-0, you're going to have. I mean, Razorback Stadium's going to be full, and there's got to be something to cheer for.
Right.
But I think in year one with Silverfield, I think if he gets bowl eligible, they may build a statue for him. I mean, it's just one of those deals. And I think Silverfield's a good dude. I think that he won at Memphis, and he has done some good things. But I think that year one's always a struggle, especially for a team that just went 2-10. And we've seen that too many times at the University of Arkansas, by the way. But it's just been I would like to see us get to 6 wins. And I think that
6 wins.
I think that may be the ceiling for year one, but I don't really know. I think that it's if you can tell, my expectation level is pretty low.
I actually appreciate that. Okay, so first of all, I mean, I know you see the flag over my shoulder.
I see it. I see it.
I was a Notre Dame fan growing up. Okay, I'm an adopted Hogs fan.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Because I moved here, but I do support. I actually have a Hogs football button up on right now. So I do support the team because they're a local, which is crazy because I've never supported a local team.
Right.
Because so right before the show I told you I'm from a small town in Kansas. Chief fans are just like annoying to me. And I didn't want to be like everybody else,
Right.
And so that's how I became a Chargers fan.
Yeah.
Is LaDainian Tomlinson in 2001. And so like, and in baseball, you know, I didn't root for the Royals. Derek Jeter was actually my favorite player growing up. Now I don't root for a favorite team in baseball now, but
Right.
you know, in terms of college sports, I never rooted for Kansas or K-State or Missouri or Oklahoma because that's what everybody else was rooting for. And so I kind of went against the grain. And then I saw the movie Rudy, you know, and I was like, I'm I'm Irish. I saw Rudy. I feel like I was kind of built like Rudy because I played defensive end, but I was a small guy. Like I'm only like 5'9". So I just kind of like related to the story Rudy. I was like, wow, this is me, but he's only better. And this is a movie, so obviously he's gonna get the shining moment. But but I am an adopted Hawks fan, and I got to tell you, like, you know, hearing some it's just like, oh no, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
like
I don't know. It's hard to know.
And the crazy thing is it's not because of lack of talent, because I mean the talent is there. You know, even back to the basketball, the talent's there. I just don't understand why it doesn't transition to wins when it matters. And so for me, I'm just like I'm more like I'm gonna, yeah, we'll wait and see. I would like to see him at seven wins. I mean, I know that's like a step above, but
I'd
7 wins, that means you know, hey, you're one game above 500. Realistically, I see like 5.
Yeah.
Tough schedule. It's year 1 of a new system. But I mean, you did bring in the quarterback from Memphis with you, so he kind of already has an edge.
Right.
So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah. And
all right, Will.
I'll be a Hog fan till I die. I love it. I love it so much. I love going to Fayetteville. I think Northwest Arkansas is a beautiful part of the state, and so it's been, that's been my whole life, is being a Razorback fan. And so, I hope that they exceed my expectations greatly. But it'll be hard to tell.
All right, Will. It is time to put you on Call's hot seat. All right, just a few rapid fire questions, and then I'll have one final question, and then I'll let you get out of here. I know you're a busy man, and I don't want to keep you any longer than. So on the hot seat.
Okay.
We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but we didn't really. What's the most difficult player name you've ever had to say?
Oh man. So at UAM basketball this last year, in the starting lineup, the starting point guard for the UAM Weevils was 6'3" graduate transfer from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, number 3, Giancarlo Valdez. That was my call, and I had to practice that so much.
The reason I was asking you that particular question is because, you know, ever since I got into doing the show, I have butchered a few names, you know, and it made me think, like, you're an announcer, like you deal with this way more than me.
Right.
But here on the show, I've butchered a few names. I'll tell you one that I struggled with until I learned how to say it, and that's Nico Iamaialava. And I'll tell you how I learned. Playing college football 25, the video game, on my PS5, and I literally would just be like, I'd go in an expedition game, and I would beat Tennessee, and I would just do whatever play I could to make those announcers say the name over and over and over. And eventually that's how I learned how to say it.
That's funny, man.
Have you ever had to correct yourself when being live? You know, like you're live and you know.
I remember one of my first years on the call. One of my good buddies here, his name is Brent Herod. Is his name Brent Herod? There's a kid that played on the team that year. His name was Brent Holland, and so I called. I called, like I said, Brent Herod on the stop. Brent Herod is a 40-year-old man that is running the chains on the opposite side, and so I called his name on accident.
So how that question came about, I got to tell you the story on how that question came about. So remember I told you I was up in the press box. Well, the year before I was wearing, I think it was number 52, and I switched to number 56. And then I got hurt, but I just remember, like, they didn't update the the roster sheet. And I'm up there next to the announcer, and I hear the announcer, and Tim Collins with the block punt. And I'm like, I'm right here, buddy. And I'm like, that's, and his name was Buddy Beck. And he goes, correction, Buddy Beck with the block punt. And I just remember I was like, but it was funny until they corrected it. I had a block punt, even though I was never on the field. And I was like, oh man, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Okay. Favorite moment on the mic?
Probably this past season, Hamburg football. We had for bringing it back to my guy Nikel Lewis. His father passed away in the middle of the football season this past year. In the middle of a really just a crazy year that he's been having. His dad passes away. Well, first carry of the game that he gets the week that his dad passes away, he hits Star City for a 60-yard touchdown down the right side. Just ran away from everybody. Well, we had hired the Booster Club had hired a fireworks company to come and set off some fireworks whenever we scored and everything. On that carry that he had actually set the school record for rushing yards in a season. And so after that touchdown, there's a big fireworks show that happened just on the outside of the stadium. And it was so cool, man. It was really kind of a sweet moment for him and for our town and for everything that went on during the year. But yeah, it was awesome. It was a really good time.
I'm not sure if you want to answer this one really quick. What's the funniest moment you've had announcing I'm calling both games type moment?
The funniest moment you've had announcing I'm calling both games type moment. I'm not sure how to answer that, for being honest.
We'll come back to that one. What would you think, though? What would you say would probably be the best sport? And I probably already know your answer here, but the best sport to announce.
Football is the one that I like the most, but I like all of them. The ones that I announce, I call volleyball too for University of Arkansas Monticello, and there's some athletes that play volleyball, and man, that's a fun time. But football by far and away is my most favorite one to announce.
I feel like football would be the easiest for me because that's what I know. I feel like baseball would be another easy one. I played it growing up. I watched a hockey game the other day. It's been a couple weeks back. It was Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Vegas Golden Knights, and I remember I was looking at my wife, and because I want to get into broadcasting. I want to get into like being an announcer and a commentator and that sort of thing. And I looked over at her. I'm like, there is no way I could ever commentate hockey because I'm watching, and I know I don't watch it enough. So like, it's kind of, well, if I watched it more, maybe, but I just remember I was watching and I was like, oh, there's a puck. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm like, oh, there's a goal. And, and
it's crazy because that hockey puck is so tiny in retrospect. It's like, the closest thing that I can think of would be basketball. Just stuff that I call. And basketball, especially when you move from high school ball to college ball, the pace of the game goes up tremendously. But I've been calling Division II basketball. It's fast. These guys are flying high the whole time. And it's quick. It's a really quick game. I don't see how these guys are doing it at the NCAA tournament right now, with especially when you have a game like Arkansas and High Point that's just back and forth. I don't know how you watch it.
I don't know how you commentate. Like, I don't know how you still have a voice the next day or even during the broadcast. All right, Will. One final question right before I let you go on your way because we went a little longer than I told you we would, and I'm sorry for that.
Fine, man. It's fine.
All right. Before you go, one last question. Any advice for someone who wants to get into announcing or sports media?
Yeah, I think just jump in. I think if you get the opportunity, say yes, because you've got to get lucky in how you in what happens, and there's luck involved with it. But I think just jumping head first into something and really just trying your hand at things and not being afraid to mess up, because I've done it plenty. That's a life lesson too, by the way. But you're gonna mess up in certain things. You got to be able to adjust in how you do things with that. But keeping the positive attitude, really and really just putting the work in. That's part of the deal too. Is that I do a lot of pregame prep. And really in any sport that I do, I try to look at just names. Like you talk about pronouncing names, just see if you can pronounce names before you get there. That's half the battle. I mean, it's one thing to know ball. It's another thing to know names. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is you don't know who's watching. Whether it's somebody looking to be in your spot, or it's somebody that is watching their son or daughter play. You want to be able to put on a good show, put on a good presentation for those that have come to the game, because ultimately it's about the game and it's about the experience that you're providing.
Right. Is there any socials that you want the audience to know about, to where they can find you, find your work?
I'm on Facebook, Will Ritchie on Facebook. I am on Instagram, same name. TikTok, same name. I do a lot of different things with that. I will put on just some different content on TikTok. I like doing announcing content. And then I also will do some music content on there as well, just posting some different things that I do at some gigs. So yeah, it's fun.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk some ball with Answer the Call.